Dear brothers and sisters, if another believer is overcome by some sin, you are the godly. Who's the godly? I got to put this thing away. See my... the rest of the time I'd be... Oh, wait. You're just sitting there. All right. So, who's the godly? Y'all are the godly. Now, is this... Now again, I'm going to... Maybe this is the way you're supposed to do it. Dear brother and sister, if any believers is overcome by sin, you're the godly. So that means you're the right hand of God and you should strike them down. No? Restore them. What fun is it to restore them? I'm going to tell you what, it's a lot funner standing up here being more righteous than the rest. When I know somebody's in sin, and I'm going to say to them, you shouldn't do that, brother, and I'm going to show you right here, 66 books, 4,000 years, and how many authors, and I'm just going to beat you into the ground with this. You know what? That person is going to... If I beat you with a sledgehammer, I got news for you, you're going to have nothing left of it. Okay? If one of those cars that got restored got crushed by one of them, you ever seen a big machine that crushed? Most of them, and please, don't anybody send me. If you know those Italian mobster movies, okay? Is that okay? Is that all right to say? They squish the car into a little box. That one ain't coming back. All right, that ain't going to be restored unless it's going to be a table at your house. Okay? I'm saying that if you treat another human being like that. And they know, because, you know what, my understanding, you guys are Christians. That's why you showed up today. Unless you didn't have a place to get out of the rain. So with this going on, you say to yourself, my brother, my sister, I am a Christian person, and I am going to teach you. I'm not going to do that. What's the next verse say? It says, should gently and humbly help that person back to the right path. Now, do you think that God brings... Well, let me rephrase this. Do you think trouble finds you? People would say that. Trouble's always finding me. I was minding my own business. This person came up. I don't know what's going on. You know what's going on? God sends trouble your way. Now, do you think He sends trouble your way to test you? That could be one reason. Okay? Now, when I was younger, my name would be Trouble. Okay? If He sent me to one of you, it wasn't to test your patience. It was to do what? Get me on the right path. Because I tell you what, I hope and pray that I will not stand in front of God on Judgment Day. And He'll say to me, you see these 900 people over here? I sent them to you to put them where? You was too busy on your cell phone. You was too busy restoring that car. You were too busy being busy. He's going to send people your way because you got the Word. You've been restored. And if you're not fully restored, you're on the path to restoration, aren't you? But I just saw 3 verses where God said He totally restored us. He didn't halfway. If you halfway restored, that means you're halfway with God. That's on you. That's because you haven't made the commitment. That's because you are the young, rich ruler. And you've decided, everything was good, God, until, ooh, that was a little too hot for me. I'll come back another day. Next part of that verse says, and be careful not to fall into the same temptation yourself. Okay, now what that means is if your buddy has been gambling on the basketball games that are just going on, and is that sin? Is he doing the wrong thing by gambling on the games? Now, there's only a sin if he's losing. Okay? So if I go to Vegas, everybody, with the church money, and I win and tell you, I just got back from Vegas, I just won us $1 million, we're going to build a church. Is that okay with you? Okay? So you don't have to be the winner, and it's still $1 million, but not back on pen for it. So what I'm saying is that don't go help your friend who's got a problem, and you end up in the same problem. Because if the devil is working through you, buddy, Jerry, did I just say, when I want myself to be supported, I call my brother Jerry. Alright? He working on me to work on Jerry. Next thing you know, we got another 62 piece of metal with holes in it at the house. Alright? How many cars you got at your house that don't even have motors in them, Jerry? Okay, all right. I got a couple too. You know what? I had to have a 65 Ford, no motor, no trans, no seats. God gave me an electrical harness though. So I mean, I couldn't help myself. You know what I'm saying? It's brand new in a box. The harness is, and I know it's got to be worth like $100. All right. So you make sure you don't fall into the same temptation you're trying to get your friends out of. Next part of that verse says, what's it say? Read it with me. I guess the first question is, do you know the law of Christ? If you don't know the law of Christ, you can't hook up, can you? Mark has an awesome program here on Wednesday nights. What's it called? And what do I call it, Mark? Celebrity in Recovery. That's right. So with that, you got to know the law. You got to come here. Mark knows the law of Christ. I'm not going to take my car to get restored by somebody that doesn't know anything about cars. If I'm looking for somebody that knows the law of Christ, I'm going to come here. I got some issues. I got some problems. I'm going to hook up here. Because you know what's going to happen? They're not going to beat me down. They're going to what? They're going to lift me up. Next part of that verse. You like all that little stuff I put in there? No? That's pretty, again, that took a long time. Next time it'll be easier. It says, if you think that you're too important to help somebody, and that's a paraphrase, by the way. You won't find that in King James. Alright? And that little sound you heard, that was you getting hit in the back of the head. Bang! You ain't all that. And what that means is sometimes you think somebody else's sin is so bad, you don't want to get involved with that. Maybe you're not strong enough to lift it. And if you ain't strong enough to lift it, maybe you don't know Christ's law. Because you're not all that. None of us are. You know what? If you don't pray before you help somebody, what are you doing? The blind leading the blind. Okay? If you come to me and you tell me you got some issues, you got a problem, something you need, and you know what? It might be more than I can carry. Now, if I was all that, I wouldn't need no help. But I want to do two things. One, I'm going to pray. And if the prayer, the Holy Spirit speaks to me and says, you better go get pastor like your hair's on fire, then that's what I'm going to do. But you know what? It might tell me I need to go talk to somebody else. Because it's not about me. It's not about what I can do. Because I already know if man has his hand in it, eventually it's gone. It's going to be a rust bucket sitting somewhere. So all I can hope and pray for is the Holy Spirit to move me in the direction that when that person needs help, I help the person the way I'm supposed to. This picture right here is from Biloxi, Mississippi. This wasn't pulled off the internet. This is pulled off an experience that if anybody hadn't seen it. See on that back wall right back there? You see a newspaper article back there. And that's when the church went down there. 7, 8 of us went down there. My son was one of them, Mark, pastor. And we went down there to do what God has called us to do. Now, do you think there's sin in Biloxi, Mississippi? Yeah. Got news for you. There's sin right here in this church. Okay? But there's something that Biloxi, Mississippi has that this church don't have, and that's more casinos than anything else. Now, Satan loved Biloxi, Mississippi because all the casinos down there, you know things are not going the way they're supposed to be going. Now, this is just a guy, was he in sin? Oh, I don't know. But you know what? God led us just to stop in the middle of the road and pray for this man. And we also gave him a Visa card for $100. That will always get their attention. But I'm going to tell you now, if God calls you to pray to somebody, if God calls you not just to restore their houses, next one, not just to restore their houses, but restore their lives. To go there and show them that, you know what, I don't even know you. I don't know exactly what you went through. And I'm hard-pressed to understand why you stayed here knowing that 10 billion gallons of water was going to take away your whole town and city. But all I know is Christ led us there. Christ said there's restoration needed in Biloxi, Mississippi. Now, you know what? I don't know how much you heard about Biloxi. I heard a whole lot about St. Louis. You know what was St. Louis? No, Mardi Gras place. Where's that at? Yeah, sorry I don't hang in that crowd all that much. I know all them places. But you know what? You heard tons about that. How much did you hear about Biloxi? Not as much. You know what? Why Pastor picked it? I don't know. All I know is Pastor says we're going to Biloxi, Mississippi, and loads up my Suburban and loads up my trailer with 10 washers and dryers and 400 towels and all this stuff. And I said, what are we going when we get there? He goes, I don't know. That's where God's telling us to go. We get there, and the ones that know, there's a huge camp set up. It's a whole city of tents, and it stinks. There's no sewage or no nothing. It's horrible. It's the worst place you'd ever want to be. And I guarantee you, none of you want to be there. But you know what? God sent us there. He had a mission for us. He had restoration. And you know what? I hate to say it. I think it restored me just as much as it restored him. Knowing that I could be there, and the next time I say, man, life's horrible. Can't get no service on my cell phone. What am I thinking about? What are you thinking about? You have to look deep inside and say, God, you send me somewhere. You ask me to do something. The question is, are you willing to do it? Now, I just threw this thing up here. This was on a website called iTricks.com. Be careful putting iTricks in anything. You don't know what you're going to get. But this is what I got. Now, if you stare at those 4 dots in the center for about 30 seconds. Mike, turn the lights off for a second.